Hello everyone, welcome back to online lecture series on applied thermodynamics. We are continuing our topic of axial flow compressor. In our previous lecture we started this chapter with construction and working of axial flow compressor. So here we understood that an axial flow compressor, why it is required first of all. So we discussed that the efficiency of centrifugal compressor is comparatively low. Second is that with help of axial flow compressor we can get larger pressure ratio as well as high thrust per unit frontal area, and multi-staging in axial flow compressor is comparatively much easier than in case of centrifugal compressor. In axial flow compressor we are having several rows of fixed blades and moving blades. So one moving blade and one fixed blade constitute a stage where we are getting a pressure rise of 1.12 to 1.20, and there are around 14 to 20 stages in an axial flow compressor. The rotor shaft runs at 10,000 to 30,000 rpm. And then we discussed about unsymmetrical aerofoil blade section as well as symmetrical aerofoil blade section. We also discussed about few important definitions like what is a cascade, what is an aerofoil, and a camber line. Now we are going to continue with that nomenclature in this lecture also. So let's begin. First of all, we are going to copy this one. So few things I need to repeat here. It is between the direction of velocity of approach camber line. The next is X1 camber angle at inlet X2 is camber angle at outlet theta is camber angle that is actually the total angle, which will be summation of x1 and x2. Then we have B as maximum camber A is distance or point of maximum camber from leading edge. Then we have the value C, which is known as chord, that is a straight line from leading edge to trailing edge. Then we have TS. See, while I am writing this, you can definitely see the same nomenclature here also. So it is easy to understand by yourself. T is the blade thickness. Tmax is maximum load thickness. Now let's first copy this work into our main slides. Then let's move forward to the second nomenclature part, which is for the cascade. So this is symmetrical aerofoil blade section that we have already discussed. The next is this one, that is two blades of a cascade. So here S is the blade spacing or pitch. Then we have beta 1, that is blade angle at inlet. Alpha 1 is equal to flow angle at inlet Similarly, we can write down for beta 2 and alpha 2. Beta 2 is blade angle at outlet and alpha 2 is flow angle at outlet. The next is alpha 2 minus alpha 1 is equal to fluid deflection angle. beta 1 minus alpha 1 is equal to angle of incidence. It can be seen from the figure here that the difference between beta 1 and alpha 1 is incidence angle, that is this one. And here when we take a difference between alpha 2 and alpha 1, it gives us the fluid deflection angle. The meaning is that it is a difference between two flow angles. So it says that how much the fluid is being deflected when it passes through this blade. Last one is beta CH is equal to chord angle. So that's all we have in the nomenclature of cascade. So let's copy this work. So now let's move forward with our next topic here. That is drag and lift on aerofoil blades. So we are briefly going to discuss this part. Here on the first image, the pressure distribution is shown for an aerofoil blade. So on the upper side of this blade, that is the convex portion of the blade, it can be seen that here the negative pressure is generated because the fluid particles which are present over here try to move away from this blade. So here a negative pressure is generated, while and because of that this is known as a suction side. So this region is known as, this is the suction side. Here low negative pressure is generated on convex side, and if we observe the other portion here, the other side is concave side, where positive pressure is generated because the fluid particle tries to create a pressure over here, or they are trying to hit this surface, so positive pressure is generated over here. It stresses this portion, the fluid particles stresses this portion of the blade. That's why a positive pressure is generated, so that this is known as the pressure side. So essentially there are two sides of an aerofoil: pressure side and suction side. So the concave side is pressure side and convex side is suction side. Suction side is having negative pressure distribution, and the pressure side is having positive pressure distribution. So here because of this pressure, a resultant force is generated because of combination of this force, the combination of these two pressures, and this resultant force is normal to the chord. Normal to the chord line. And when we count for the two components of this resultant force, then here we are getting a drag force and a lift force. So FL is known as lift and FD is known as drag. Now we will move forward with our next topic, that is over here. And this is going to be our final topic for today. This is actually for the centrifugal compressor, but our topic is in syllabus. We are having characteristic curve for axial flow compressor, which is visible over here. So we are going to discuss on this in detail. First of all, we need to observe the x and y axis. On x axis we are having a mass flow parameter. On x axis we are having mass flow parameter, and on y axis we are having pressure ratio. And we have already discussed surge in centrifugal compressor, so similar surge phenomena is also observed over here. This is the surge line that we are observing. This is the surge line. And here on x axis we are having mass flow parameter, and on y axis just on y-axis there is a pressure rise. So here as I told you that this is the surge line. Now you might be confused that why so many curves are present. So here all these curves that you are observing over here are for different RPMs. So we are having a speed parameter here, which is n divided by square root of t01. So here you can see the speed parameter keeps on increasing as we move in upward direction towards right. And our design point over here is point number 1. So this is our design point, and at this design point all the velocity triangles and flow angles are in accordance with the design values. So this is the best functioning point for an axial flow compressor. And if you see, point number 1 is very close to the surge line. So even if we even if there is a small decrease in the mass flow rate, this design point is very vulnerable to reach to this surge line. So here once if there is a slight decrease in this mass flow rate, then the pressure ratio will increase, that is P02 upon P01 will increase. So this will lead to increase in density. This will also lead to increase in density over here. And what will happen, that this will reduce the velocity because Vf is equal to mass flow rate upon rho V, rho A. So the velocity of flow is reduced, and it is quite evident because here mass flow parameter is also reducing. So this will result in increased incidence loss, incidence angle, and this will give us stalling here in the later stages. To repeat this part, the velocity of flow will reduce, and this will give us the positive incidence, and it will yield the stalling phenomena in the later stages. Now let us say we go into the point number 2. That is, here we have increased the mass flow rate, so pressure ratio has been decreased, so Vf has increased. That is the complete reverse thing of what we have discussed. So Vf will increase, so it will give us decrease in incidence angle, and that will cause stalling here with negative incidence. So we have discussed these points. Point number 5 will be the surging, and point 2 here will be stalling with negative incidence. Now you can see here that if we focus on point number 4 here, so here for a smaller pressure ratio reduction, for small pressure reduction, here there will be a decrease in mass flow rate. Very sharp decrease in mass flow rate can be seen over here. So here Vf will also reduce, which results in increased incidence angle, and this will create stalling with positive incidence. So here you can see that the pressure ratio, for a small pressure ratio change, there is a greater increase in the mass flow rate. So this is the way this entire performance characteristic curve is observed, and these are in between the dotted lines shows the constant efficiency lines. And if you see that if we see the another extreme of this characteristic curve, then at point number 3 the characteristic curve become almost vertical. So here we cannot further increase the mass flow rate, and the pressure ratio decreases here. So this is the phenomena, this is the point that was choking, that we cannot go beyond this for increase in the mass flow rate. Mass flow rate cannot be increased. So this is the choking phenomena which happens at higher RPMs. So that is the end of today's lecture as well as end of this chapter. Thank you for watching this video.